Hello and welcome to another episode of The Slip Cordon. I'm Isabel Joyce and I'm joined by Peter Boyd.
Very welcome, guys. And tonight on the show, we're joined by Andrew Pointer from Clontarf, Andy Hurst of North Kildare, and North County's Niall McGovern. You're very welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
We'll come to you first, Andy. North Kildare had their first game back of the season against Marion Cricket Club, and I believe there was a touching tribute to a player you tragically lost last year. Can you tell us a little bit about how that went?
Yeah, it was a lovely way to start the season to remember Mustafa. The Marion lads joined us out in the middle, and it was appropriate and quite fitting because the last game Mustafa played last year was in an Alan Murray Day against Marion, which ironically was probably the best performance of his cricketing career. And he had a great day that day, took 3 for 20 odd against Marion. And we had a new set of stump wraps made that commemorated that performance for the day. And it was just a nice way to everything aligned, and it was a great way to start a good game of cricket. Actually, it turned out to be a great game for the wrong reasons for us, but still a great game of cricket.
It's a really touching tribute and a beautiful way, as you say, to start a delayed start to the season. It must have been difficult then transitioning to playing, then not having a game last weekend. How did you find that, and how did the first team manage that void in their play?
Well, we're in a bit of a different situation, Peter, because it's all very new to us, and it's a big step up from Div 4 last year to playing Premier League sides, So in some ways for us, the week off wasn't a bad thing. You learn a lot in every game you play at that level, or you hope to learn a lot. So a chance to just think about what happened, to look at it, to get in the nets again, to talk, So it's not a bad thing. So we're in a bit of a different situation, I think, than most of the other clubs.
And Niall, you've had an unbeaten run so far, so 2 wins. Was that what the kind of start you were expecting, or how did you come into the season? How are you feeling coming in?
Yeah, well, it's difficult to tell. Obviously, it's nice to get the 2 wins over the local rivals. I think this year the big difference has been John Mooney coming in as a player coach. It's sort of the thing we've been crying out for as a club for the last 3, 4, 5 years. I mean, we've always had the great youth setup. John McBride and Eddie Richardson do a great job, and usually when we've the professional over with the kids and that. But to guys like myself, Jonathan Andrews, maybe even Eddie to a degree, that are sort of playing first team club cricket for a long time now, we might stagnate. We're not really pushing for higher honours, but it's hard to keep improving. You have to do that yourself. So John coming in it's just been perfect for all of us. Takes a weight off the captain. He's running the sessions and having them playing as well as a bonus. So yeah, we didn't really know what to expect, but there's a good buzz around, and we're hoping to continue that run.
Yeah, no resting on your laurels when John's around. No doubt he's got high standards at training.
Yeah, of course. We all most of us are young enough now, so some lads wouldn't, but most of us would have played with him a few years ago and know how sort of passionate he is about the game and the hard work that he puts in himself and sort of expects from everyone else. So yeah, we've been training hard. He's had a lot of good ideas, and everyone's sort of raring to go.
Brilliant.
It's something you would be well used to yourself, Points. Obviously, played plenty of cricket with John, but it's tough defeat on Saturday for yourselves over in YM.
Yeah, we probably were dead and buried a couple of times, and then we bowled fantastically well for the whole 20 overs. To at some points, if you'd offered me getting it to the last over, I would have bit your hand off, after losing 5 wickets for 10 runs during our innings. But yeah, we bowled fantastically well and showed real fight and heart, which is something that I asked of the lads at the halftime break, and we showed that. And another wicket here or there, we could have come out on top, but wasn't to be. But we're improving every week, and that's what Izzy, and I know she's on this, but she's asked us to do every game. So we're going in the right direction. Hopefully, including myself, our batters can fire in the coming weeks, and we start getting some W's on the board.
Yeah, there's not a lot of time to kind of recover in an innings, is there, in T20? Once it starts going downhill, it can be hard to catch. Andy, your team are playing against Leinster this coming week. Leinster obviously missing two of their biggest players. So do you see that as an opportunity to maybe nick a win?
With where we're at the minute, it's an opportunity to improve. It's an opportunity to do better. You always go into a game looking for a win because that's what it's all about. But we're on a slightly different trajectory. We've got a lot of young lads in the side this weekend. We have a 17-year-old, two 17-year-olds and an 18-year-old, one of whom did exceptionally well against Merrion. I mean, when you're watching the game through your fingers after 5 overs and you're 13 for 5, and you think, well, that's it. And a young lad goes out and bats out the next 15 overs and saves a bit of face, really. Then, these are the lads we have to push forward. So you're just looking to improve, just looking to get better. But it's a learning curve for us, and it's a very steep one.
Yeah, those kinds of performances can make someone's kind of career or season anyway. Like, he knows he can live at that level now, so that's good.
If you're a 17-year-old lad, 18-year-old lad who doesn't have a lot of experience at Leinster cricket, and let's not forget, a lot of the boys that play with us that haven't come through a club junior system. It's all very new to them. So to perform like that at that level gives them a huge amount of confidence. A lot of them have a lot of natural ability. They haven't had a lot of coaching, but there's potential in a lot of them, but they just need game time. They just need to have time out in the middle and to learn and learn and learn, and they'll get better. They'll get better, and we'll get better. But it's 6 games of learning for us, and it's 6 games of getting ready for what'll be a tougher year next year.
Yeah, it's interesting the way you talk about the different levels of coaching and what's there. At point you came up against Mikey O'Reilly at the weekend. He with his 5 wickets. He's a young guy coming through. He was actually one of 5 wicket hauls over the weekend at various levels. But what's it like for somebody like that coming through and trying to prove themselves as a young player coming through?
Well, first of all, he bowled excellently. Like he ripped the heart out of our batting lineup, and I believe he did very well in week 1 as well. It's brilliant. A few years ago, he kind of lost his way a little bit, and it's brilliant to see him back bowling with a bit of zip. That was the thing that kind of surprised me the most. I always knew he could swing it, but he was probably a yard quicker than I remember him as a 16 or 15-year-old kid coming through the ranks. So. But in terms of the confidence that's going to give him, like he should be sky high at the moment, and like it can really, I wouldn't say make someone, but it definitely helps someone feel part of the team and able to perform at that level if they come off that young. Now he's probably quite inconsistent due to his age. Like next week it might not go his way, but at least he can fall back on the performance that he had against us.
A couple of similar characters in our own team points. Ben came in, Ben McCabe, and did similarly well. Obviously didn't take 5 wickets, but similarly impressed people around the ground. Also a left arm in swing bowler. Yeah,
like Ben's been working hard. He's been in and around some Irish stuff over the winter, and it's kind of come from that. He's probably not been in those representative teams through kind of 13s and 15s, but has done now. He's got to 17 and he's just turned 18, and just that slightly different angle. He bowls with his left arm. There was a few people sent me messages saying who was he and where's he kind of been. People just develop at different ages and different speeds, and he's been working really, really hard at training, practicing all his different deliveries. He's got a few different slow balls and Yorkers, and similarly, we've got David Vincent, who, as a young off spinner, he's our main spinner at the moment, and he's probably not grabbed any any headlines just yet, but he's bowled fantastically well in the 2 league games and the friendly that we had at the start of the season. And if those boys can play for the rest of the season and keep performing, we know they're going to be inconsistent because of the age they are and the level of the league that it's at. But a couple of performances, they can really know that they're able to do it at this level and give them confidence going into hopefully a full season next year.
Yeah.
And Niall, is that one of the things that you guys are looking at as well this season, is making sure that some of the younger guys are getting some good experience in kind of towards building for the next few seasons?
Yeah, of course. Obviously, I touched on it earlier that we're happy with our youth setup and have been for years. One of the major issues we seem to be having is sort of losing players that we've developed for a plethora of different reasons that I'm not going to go into, but like we're developing these players and it's always been really good. It'd be, I mean, think about the guys around different clubs that learned their cricket in North County. North County could really be up there with one of the best teams in the country at this stage if we kept everyone. But all we can do is just keep developing these players. I mean, like Owen Graham is opening the bowling for us, and he's got to be up there one of the best bowlers in the province at this stage. Like he has the consistency. We know that from 50 over cricket, but the way he's just been able to, like, he's not particularly pacey, but the way he's been able to implement plans as a guy who's never played any Irish underage cricket, who's only playing senior cricket 2 years now, and just taking on board what Eddie and John are saying to him and being able to be one of our most consistent bowlers even in the 2020 format has been brilliant. And then if you look at our second team is stacked full of guys that are going to play a lot of senior cricket if they keep their heads like or committed to the game sort of thing. You've Ben McBride in there, Keegan Lane, not sure how to pronounce the second name. You've just Kieran Sheridan, so many guys in there that are getting a lot of experience in the seconds, and maybe they'll have a few goals at the first team this year, but if not, next year if we're back to a full season, as the point said, then we're going to need a bigger squad and we're going to be looking to blood these players.
Is that the importance of getting out there and for all of us to see these matches in person? Because if we're just looking at scorecards and not necessarily seeing the performances, just maybe seeing the headline grabbing figures at the end of the day.
Yeah, I definitely think so. I mean, like to me, as I talked about Owen, like just to use him as an example, like the fact that he's not in any, he's been in Leinster squads, but not in Irish squads or never, like to me is amazing. Maybe someone's had a look at him and just sees a slow bowler and they might think he's been lucky or whatever, but like his skill is there for all to see. So yeah, it'd be nice. Obviously, with the COVID at the moment, it's going to be difficult for selectors or whoever, people like yourself. I know you were there in week one, but people to get around the grounds and see these players. But with the amount of talented kids are going to be around all the clubs this year, especially with the lack of professionals and the Irish guys away for most of the year, it's it's really important to have that sort of depth in the province and make sure that people are aware that these players are there and they're committed and they're doing their thing, even if they're not taking the fifers, like you say.
Yeah, and it's leading up now, and this weekend we've got two top of the table clashes in one in each pool. You know, looking at on your own side there, the Phoenix against Marion, who you played in week one. Were they two sides that you were kind of looking at ahead of the season that would probably be up there?
Well, yeah. I mean, our first game against John Anderson Cricket Club was. I mean, you know, if you were a neutral on the sideline, I have to say, I mean, watching him bat was, you know, it was a joy to watch. The guy's just something else, and I believe he did it last weekend as well. You know, batted through the innings, got himself 60, I think. You know, it's just a class apart. But yeah, I mean, look, you look at sides like Marion and Phoenix and Pembroke, and well, you know, we would have been facing a different season where we knew we would have had a tough Senior League Cup, and then we would have had a championship to follow, where you would look at the championship and think, well, maybe there's one or two sides or three sides in there that we could maybe give a run for their money and feel a bit more confident about. But actually, you know, when you're where we're at, you have to take a bit of a longer term view on it. You know, we're trying to get a youth structure going where we've got these young lads coming through, and that's going to take a year or two. You know, and as Andrew and Niall know, and Isabel, they grow up pretty quick. You know, so the lad you're looking at who looks quite handy at 15 this year, you know, all of a sudden he's a foot taller and a foot wider, and he's a lot better player. But you've got to give him the opportunity,
Yeah.
So for us this year, we'll take our medicine, but we'll use it as a good experience, and we'll use it to build something. But we've a young lad who was supposed to be playing Leinster under-17s today that got washed out. We've a lad, actually, Albert, I think, is doing great work in his role as a talent and pathway manager. We've a lad who was plucked out of nowhere last year, who's been brought into the Ireland under-17 setup, who bowled extremely well against Merrion. The figures, again, as you were making the point there before, it's easy to look past figures, and you might see someone on a scorecard that bowls 4 overs for 19 or 20 runs, but it's when he bowled those overs and it's how he bowled those overs, and he was very impressive in how he did that. So, these lads just need their time. So there's no easy games. Not at this level. I won't remind Mr. Pointer of his outing against us last year at Castle Avenue. I'm sure he remembers it fondly. But,
well, I'll be trying to remind him of that this Saturday as he returns to Castle Avenue. So Poinsettia's first game back on the new square. I mean, there have been games on it. The women have played a couple of games there, but first game for the men's firsts. Does that add a level of pressure for you guys, or do you think it's something you'll relish?
Hopefully, I don't think we're too worried about it. We've trained a few times. There's been some pretty decent scores from the men's and the women's games that have been played on it. I think we're just looking forward to getting back at home. And I know I think we're allowed 200 odd people or whatever the rules are at the moment. Hopefully there's close to that there to watch, and there's a good buzz around the place at all levels in the club at the moment. And hopefully we can start playing the cricket that people have kind of come to get used to around the club. That we've been successful for a number of years now, and hopefully we can get back to that and show the guys that it's just a bit of a blip for the first couple of weeks, and we can start scoring some runs, because we've been bowling and fielding well. Us batters just need to fire. So hopefully the Hills kind of get that in abundance on Saturday. But no, very much looking forward to it. It'd be my first game at home as captain as well. That's something I'm looking forward to. And I think all the lads are, we love playing at home. One of the reasons that a lot of the lads play is because we play at Castle Avenue, and we're lucky that our facilities are very nice. So I think everyone's really looking forward to it. We've always had good games against the Hills in the past. There's a team that give you absolutely nothing. So hopefully we can match them for that and get the first win on the board.
Niall, you're taking the trip to YMCA. They've had 2 very tight games, as you did actually this past weekend. Do you think that last over win will stand to you when you take on the kind of the youth of YMCA?
Yeah, I hope so. Obviously, the experience there with Eddie bowling the final over was nice to be able to rely on. Similar to sort of the opposite to what Points is after saying that we've had two home games, and obviously we like playing at home, and I think over the years our win percentage is probably an awful lot higher at home than it is away. One thing that might help us this year going away is that our wickets, with the lack of preparation or whatever, now John and Joey have done a fantastic job as they have to get in there, but the wickets are probably a bit less batter friendly than we'd expect in North County, so hopefully that might help us on the road a bit more this year. But yeah, look, they've a lot of talented young lads, as we've seen, and maybe they could have a bit of a surprise factor with us not having played against some of them. But we're gonna just look to keep sticking to our guns. Our bowling and fielding has been exceptional, I think, this year. Batting wise, we haven't quite fired. I haven't got many runs at all. It's something I'm going to be looking to try and rectify. But if we can bat a bit better and do in the field as we have done, then we'll be hoping to come back from there with a win.
And it's interesting you talk about, you know, hopefully you get the win and the batters start looking to fire. I was just looking through some of the other scores and some of the other games in across the leagues, and there's 3 scores that jumped out to me. Finglas second team managed to pile on 198 for 5 in the Adamstown Cup. Malahide's thirds put on 197 in the Middle Cup, and Castleknock second team put on 189 in the Whelan Cup. So there's not a whole load of runs in the Senior League Cup. There's our runs being scored around the place, and I do have to mention before we go tonight, Sean Drum from Malahide, the first century of the season. So 108 he scored for Malahide thirds against Castleknock there at the weekend. So play that's some going in a year of T20s to get the first century. So
that's the score you have to beat now, lads.
Yeah.
Niall points 109 or nothing less will take this weekend.
Yeah.
The other 2
Try my
not.
best.
Thank you.
Yeah, and if you just tell one of the lads from North Kildare that they have to score 109, okay? You choose.
Yes.
Okay, guys, well, that's it from us. Thank you so much for coming on and joining us, and we look forward to seeing how everything pans out this weekend. So from the Slip Cordon, good night.
Thanks very much indeed, guys. Take care.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks.